10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's up, drag racing fans, and welcome to a fast-paced recap of the New England Nationals from historic New England Dragway, brought to you by Competition Plus. In Pro Stock's return to competition, Erica Enders will continue her dominance in 2022, defeating teammate Aaron Stanfield in the money round to claim her third win in a row and fourth of the year in just 6 races so far this season, and stretches out her points lead in the process.
After the way that we lost last year, that fashion, just losing by a couple of rounds to Greg Anderson and him being able to sport the number 1 on his car this year instead of on that Melling Performance hot rod, it just gives us a little extra motivation.
In the field categories, for the second consecutive race in a row, Matt Hagan and Robert Height will square off in the final round of Nitro Funny Car, with this time the win going to points leader Matt Hagan, as he'll pick up his 3rd win of the year and 42nd of his career, and capturing his 4th win at Epping in the past 5 years.
I think it's going to be a dogfight all year between Robert Height and us, and you can't leave out Caps and Force and all those other guys out there, and even JR, man, it's a dogfight out here, and I absolutely love it.
And finally, in Top Fuel Eliminator, Mike Salinas will march his way to a victory yet again, outlasting Justin Ashley in the final round to score his 3rd win of the year and 6th of his career.
Al Shawini is helping me do some stuff on driving. We found something that we were doing wrong as a driver, and so he's working with me and helping me, and we're getting a little bit better. And in time, as we work through it, we'll get there. We got to keep winning.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a special fast-paced recap of the New England Nationals, brought to you by Competition Plus.
And to everyone out there in internet land, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour. Myself, the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Craft, and next to me, Slammin' Sam. And we have a lot to recap from the world of drag racing. And I do think we have got 2 great guests coming on tonight. One guest from the world of the factory hot rods, Bill Skillman, and then the winning crew chief from Epping with Matt Hagan, Dickie Venables will be on as well. Sam, pretty good lineup for tonight. Got some door cards, some funny car action.
Yeah, for sure. I think a great lineup that we have tonight, Lee. Just pretty much going through it. And I mean, why not have a guy like Dickie on that can definitely talk about his career and what he's seen on and off the track there with the NHRA, and then also with Bill. I mean, the guy he's on a roll, So, I mean, why not have 2 great guys and continue our great performance here and what we have on the show? I think it's going to be a great show. It's definitely in for some history. Like you said, door cars and some nitro. So why not?
Looking forward to it for sure. We will have them later on. Bill around 9:30 and then 10 p.m. for Mr. Venables. But before we do move on, we want to dive into Epping. What a great drag race it was. We do want to say that our thoughts, our prayers, as cliche as that may be, it is true, is with the Midwest Drag Racing Series and the Hobbs family. Ronnie Hobbs dying in a accident there in this weekend's event at the Midwest Drag Racing Series. And it's sad to hear of any competitor losing their life. And I hope from this, Sam, that just the right people talk about it and that things move forward and progress for the sport and everyone involved in pro mod racing.
Yeah, Lee, and you're touching on something that's actually getting me choked up as, I just had to say goodbye to one of my drag racing friends today here before this show. So anybody that's out working on your cars, be safe, be smart. Let someone know that you're out in the garage. Let someone know that you're doing something. So to the racing community, racing family, to my friends and loved ones around this area that are dealing with this same thing too, you guys, the racing community is small. We all come together when we need to, but let's just do that. Send a text and let someone know you're in the garage working on something, or just let someone know. But we're going to press for it. We're going to keep doing what we love to do, and especially do it for those that can't do it anymore.
That's right, man. Well, Epping NHRA, for everyone out there that wants to make the statement that NHRA drag racing is on the decline, well, every race so far this year, it's been evident that that would be a fallacy, but it was definitely evident and on display in New England there in Epping, New Hampshire. That fan base loves their NHRA drag racing, and they are rabid, and they turned out for 2 sellout days on Saturday and Sunday for NHRA drag racing, and that was a awesome thing to see. And what great drag racing they got for the ticket they bought in each professional category that was there in participation at the New England Nationals. So, Sam, we've had this ongoing theme about the top performing and the most exciting class. I'm sorry, it has to be Top Fuel Steel at this point, because you have Salinas come back and say to Miss Force, whoa, wait just a minute. Let me be another 3-time winner this year. Whereas Erica, on a roll, is stinking up the Pro Stock Show.
Yeah, Lee, so I started off this whole, weekend with a tweet that said, did I not call it? I know you saw it, you retweeted it. Drag Racing Central actually said the same thing. He actually saw it and liked it, but I called it. I mean, I did say Steve Torrance was going to do something here this weekend. I did have him as my winner. My picks were god-awful this week. I can honestly say that. I mean, just horrible. But, look, this week I'll give it to you. But at the same time, we're seeing repeat winners in multiple classes. So, is it the year that someone else steps up and walks away? Is it going to be a, Brittany and Salinas type of year? In Top Fuel, it's one of those things where it's like, man, they're kind of, still in the show and saying, hey, we're here and this is what we're going to keep doing all year. Salinas kind of dropped a hint here at the top end interview saying he's got some extra help coming in and helping him figure out his car. So, the secrets are now starting to come out. Remember, we said funny silly season was last year. I think it's still in play. It's still in effect. A lot of people are still helping out others. So we're starting to see that between that and then Steve Torrance going out another first round. I don't know. You set the record and then all of a sudden you're out first round, but that just shows how competitive that class is. Justin Ashley is still trying to put, he's still making a name for himself. The Davis Motorsports team, they're still in the fight. Multiple semis and final rounds for him. So, in that class, there's that. Hagen's walking away with it. We can talk about that here in a minute. We won't dive too much into Hagen right now, and what he's kind of got going on. Who knows there? And then Erica. I've told you this multiple times. You cannot count Red out. But did I think Greg Anderson was going to pull it out this weekend? I thought this was his weekend to do it. But like Erica said, they've got a chip on their shoulder from not having that number one on their car, and they're really showing the elite team, the elite camp all across the board is showing why they are a powerhouse.
It definitely seems not winning that championship and all of the commotion and nonsense surrounding Erica from pseudo sites definitely has been fueling her to, well, not be so nice, Erica. And they've gone out here and got 4 wins already on the season and made a statement that countdown, no countdown, early part of the season, going into the middle part of the season, best weather conditions or hot weather conditions, we are here to play. We're here to win, in fact, and they are doing that. And then, yeah, what driving help does Mike Salinas need? Now, yes, I know there's been some weaving and in and out in the lane to some extent, but it's like, dude, you're winning races. How much better can we get?
Lee, let's talk about that. If you go back and watch that final round, I mean, granted, I was not there, I watched it, but if you go back and watch that final round between Justin Ashley and Mike Salinas, in my eyes, when Mike got a little squirrely there, I literally said it in my head. I said, well, Justin just got this win. I may have, I don't know, but you're going back and watching it, and you're like, there's no way. In a regular drag race, you see him get swirly like that. You think Justin's going to blow right by him, right? Didn't drop a cylinder that we know of or anything. You didn't see the puff of white smoke or anything. So, I mean, in that final round, you could never, I mean, I shouldn't say you never, but you wouldn't think that Mike would get that car under control like that, the way he did, in the fashion he did, how quick he did, and keep going. So it just shows these drivers are they're getting these skills and they're adapting to it, and it just shows the evolution or a way a driver can evolve into becoming a better driver just by going through these situations over and over and understanding, okay, if I whack the throttle here, if I get off the throttle here. Another example was Erica when she got, she blew the tires off. And you could see it when they did the slow-mo. You could see the actual car lifting up. That's very, very brutal inside those cars. So, I mean, these drivers are learning a lot, and they're taking it all in, and it just shows on race day.
Man, if Mike Salinas improves his driving, and I state that because he stated it, not my own opinion, with what he's already done, man, how dangerous is Mike Salinas going to be with Rob Flynn? Again, mind you, who apparently cannot tune a Top Fuel Dragster at all that we have seen this year. Right, no, obviously he can. And we are sitting back, we're wondering, man, when is Alan Johnson tuned vehicles going to come alive? I think everybody that watches nitromethane burning drag racing is wondering that at this very point, looking at the Coletta camp, and saw some glimpses possibly this weekend, but who would have thought the narrative this year would be Mike Salinas, 3 wins, matching the only other three-time winner so far this year, Brittany Force, and performing exceptionally well with Rob Flynn tuning?
If you look, Lee, if you look at it, right, I'm going to go back and answer your first question, and you think about it. You said Mike Salinas driving. I think we've underestimated Mike and what he's done for years. I mean, the guy's driven a Pro Mod, one of the wildest mobiles, in our NHRA circuit, quote unquote. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, not only did he drive it, he actually spun it and didn't hit anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The guy is an all-around driver. And when you see a driver like this and they take their time and they understand, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to do. And they're passionate about doing it. This is when you start seeing the performances that we're seeing right now. We're starting to see a guy who's stepping up, and in the thick of it all, he's saying, you know what, I can stay calm. I can remember what I need to do. And he's doing it.
Yes.
I think there's so many times, just like with what Brittany said a couple weeks ago, is that you have to find what it is that has got you off of your game that can get you right back into your game. And I think the little things, I always say, the little things matter, right? These drivers in this series right now are taking everything into consideration to say, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be number one. So Mike, from the haulers, from when they show up to when they leave at the end of the weekend, man, it's a great show. It's phenomenal. And that's what it's all about. Lee, before we go any further in this show, we have to give a shout out to a good friend of ours, a guy, Lyle Barnett. Mr. Lyle Barnett just had his son a few days ago. So I do want to give a shout out to Lyle Barnett and Melissa Barnett, who had their little boy a few days ago. Congratulations, Lau, for being a good friend and now a dad. So hopefully that keeps him off the nasty Yingling beers. But yeah.
Congratulations, Lyle, and I'm glad you've got another one to come into the Beard Gang fold. Very cool, man.
Lee, going along, man. We said it last week's show how tricky that track was going to be. If the sun is out, if there's any chance of the sun shining, it is going to be tricky, which it's held true for many years. What did you when you looked at things and when you saw things, what did you think?
Well, first of all, I was not shocked. Now, in saying all this, Epping is not a bad track. It doesn't have a bad surface. We're not saying that. Epping is a neat old school facility. It does have its challenges, but it is mainly due to the weather. Typically, if the sun's out, it's hot and it's humid, and that just creates challenging conditions, especially when you had favorable conditions rolling in to that race in previous races. So I was not shocked Josh Hart pedals and it backfires in a big kablooey. I was not shocked that Joe Morrison pushes a head gasket out and has a big ball of fire, which shout out to Joe. He did a stellar job of driving that car. A lot of raw fuel got under that right side tire. He had to do some driving, and he actually left on Salinas, and he was ahead at the 8th mile. That leverage car almost took down the eventual race winner. So shout out to Joe Morrison on that. Was not shocked that, Scott Farley getting his first round win ever and over the champ. Boom. They're going through the lights. The place is hard on parts. It is not a strange thing to see. I think back to last year, Ron Capps, round 1, has Terry had it covered, but pop going through the lights, and Terry's able to come around Ron to pick up a round 1 win. And I also will say this, for whatever reason, and I've heard many things. It has to do with where it falls in the schedule. It has to do with the market itself and finding branding and marketing partners for the location and the distance. Going to Epping, New Hampshire is farther than a lot of people realize. Like from the Carolinas, you're looking at like 14 and a half hours traveling up to Epping, New Hampshire. It's a good ride, but it tends to be a race that doesn't have full fields. So the people who love to complain about not having full fields, they get a little bit of ammunition. But every time we go there, there is yet a stellar race, whether there's full fields or not. And I think we got that again on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sunday definitely. Well, first of all, I know what you mean with traveling. I live in the great north. I live right underneath Canada. It's called North Dakota. A lot of you guys know South Dakota because of Sturgis, but yes, I live way up there. So trust me, Lee, when you're talking about traveling to some of these East Coast races, I understand 100%. But I mean, you want to look at, so let's talk top fuel right now. I mean, the ladder, Steve Torrance, like you said, it's taken out by Scott. Justin Ashley in the first round gets a win. Doug Coletta over Cameron Ferre, Josh Hart over Sean Langnan, Brittany over Clay Milliken, Austin Prock over Antron Brown. Like another big name, Austin Prock and Antron Brown first round. Joe Morrison and Mike Salinas, Leah Pruitt and Tony Schumacher. And I want to talk about that too. Leah's going through a rough season this year. And so for her to get that round win, I think, you saw that top end interview. That was really good. Then she has a tough competitor in Mike Salinas. Obviously, he won the race. Then you have Austin Prock versus Brittany Force. And Austin comes at force against force, running there under the JFR camp. So you got Austin Prock that comes away with the win. Doug Coletta gets beat by Sean Langnan. And Scott gets beat by Justin Ashley. I mean, just one of those things where, I mean, every round in Top Fuel, like you were stating, is very, very, very competitive. And you have to be on your game. I mean, you can't sleep at the light. I mean, you have to deal with that. And then the conditions of New England. I mean, you could see it from some of the in-car footage. I know Justin Hashey had a really good one. And then there's pictures of the actual track. But what about the pollen? I've never been to this track, Lee. I don't know if you've got to experience it, but all the pollen that sets down on that plays a part, and that plays into the game of these crew chiefs when they are looking at these cars and figuring out, okay, NHRA is doing this. There's still pollen on the track. It may be blowing. How do we set things up?
I do not recall the 2 times that I have been to Epping there being a pollen issue. Granted, it is something that can affect a drag race. The Southeast can have serious pollen drop. I mean, you wake up in the morning and your car is lightly dusted and yellow, and it seems like something snowed yellow. Well, no, it's just pollen over everything. And I have known of a drag race to be called off at Darlington, in fact, because of pollen setting on the track. And, it gets, obviously drag strips are sticky and it sticks to the track, and you basically have a film of dust in between tire and rubber of the track, and that's never good at all. So I don't know particularly with Epping that there is that major of a problem, but I do recall the in-car footage that you are thinking of with Justin Ashley. Yes, definitely a lot of stuff flying around, but that's the challenges that these crew chiefs have to factor in. Each and every race is different. It's not just altitude. It's not just water grains. It's a myriad of things they have to consider in a race when they tune a car. Top Fuel was great. Man, funny car. What do you think some of the top stories are beyond Matt Hagan and Robert Height setting themselves apart?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that there. I think Ron Cap. My thing is, Ron Cap's had a great performance, but right now, like you said, if we're not going to talk about Matt Hagan and we're not going to talk about Robert Height and what they have going on, I think the storyline goes really to what's going to be next for J.R. Todd. Like, JR's on that verge of getting into that final round right now, and I really see that. When we're not talking about that, we're talking about Ron Capps, who's right there. But Ron Capps is putting.
I like how Sco puts it. He's like, Hagan and Height are in a ladder match at the top of the ladder, swinging at each other until one falls and the other grabs the briefcase. I like that. I think that's a good way to put it right now.
I mean, it's very true. And I mean, right now, I think the upper edge right now that, if Robert gets a hold of that mustache that Hagan was rocking here this weekend, I think he might be grabbing the briefcase.
No, Gary Sells. Gary Sells.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, why are we even talking about Matt Hagan? Because Gary came out of retirement.
Gary showed up and showed everybody how to do it in a funny car.
Yes, thank you, Double O. I can't say the rest. Double O show for that great. He's always on top of it. But anyway, back to what I was saying. If we're not talking about Robert Hyde and we're not talking about Matt Hagan, we need to be talking about Ron Cap. We need to be talking about Alexis DeJoria. Like I said, I was surprised. But when you get Robert Height in the second round, I mean, what do you do? And other than that, I mean, of course, John Force is going to be there, but J.R. Todd. Yes. Those are, if we're going to talk about 3 other racers in Funny Car right now, those are my top 3.
Well, Sam, in essence, I think, may I reword what you just stated as, when can we expect the first win in a Supra?
It's coming. Like, I'm telling, that's what I'm saying. It's coming. Like, they're trying to figure things out. I mean, yes, there was some testing done in that, but like I said, I mean, I honestly, and I'm not even counting out. I said Alexis DeJoria's name for my pick for this week, but I'm not counting out any of those 3s that I just named. I mean, course, you can't count out John Force. But if we're going to say 3 names, I'm going to stick with J.R. Todd, Ron Capps, and Alexis Ajoria. I mean, bite me if I'm wrong, or shake your finger at me, or whatever you want to do. But when you look at how seasons have played out, and when you least expect it, who's one of those 3, that's going to come up with it and just say, hey, you know what? Don't forget about me. I'm still here. And those are the 3 that I'm gonna choose.
All right. Well, the last and other professional category there in competition editing was pro stock.
But still, still everyone's favorite class.
It is a great class. NHRA mini motor is, for sure.
You're going to have to stop with the mini motor stuff, okay? Like, I mean, I cannot be associated with you saying this, and then I walk into the pits, and they're like, hey, you're associated with that guy that says the mini motor. Get out. No. For the record, Lamb and Sam Smith, Outlaw Performance ENT, not saying anything about these little motors, okay? That's all of that guy. That guy right there, okay? Let's just get that. But, yeah, for quote-unquote what you say, the real pro stock, as the limo guy calls it. Man.
Yes, the real. There's a slam if there is one.
Lee, you're telling my secrets now. Be quiet. Anyway, pro stock, man. I mean, when you have this is, and I'm just gonna say it because I may have a little insight. Erica, I may have a little insight there. When you have a guy that chirps you, or an individual that chirps you all season after losing a great battle to Greg Anderson last year, when you have someone that sits there and chirps you and chirps you and chirps you and chirps you consistently all off season, I don't care who you are. You're going to figure it out and say, you know what? I'm going to shut you up and everybody else that was talking crap about me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, period. And Erica came out this year and she's coming out swinging. And you might as well just watch out. She got her knuckles taped up. She got on the boxing gloves, and she's throwing haymakers. This is like Mike Tyson when you used to pay for the fight, and it only lasted 30 seconds. So you're like, why did I spend all this money and make all this food just for that? Like,
right. Look, somebody at the end of the year has got to take that moment where rolling out of her mouth is no more nice Erica, and then like the 10 winning runs through the rest of the year, just boom, 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 and her hoisting like a championship trophy up toward the end. That definitely could be what is the narrative this year.
No, I mean, I mean, it's man, I don't even know how to put it into words, Lee. I'm sorry, but it's the Michael Jordan story, right? You tell me I can't do something over and over and over, I'm going to prove you wrong. And she's making a statement. That's not to say I still think we're going to see this battle go down between Greg and Erica for Greg to get that win. And it's probably going to happen. Like that's the way that Greg should get this win. He should be racing Erica in the other lane. You know, I believe that's how it should be for him to get this next big win for him. I mean, it proves the story. The records would prove it, and it's great for the sport.
Yes.
But at this point, have we seen, and I'm going to wrap all this up with this, have we seen too many racers get too many wins already this year? Like, I mean, Brittany's got a few, Matt's got a few, Mike's got a few, Erica's got a few. Like, who else? At this point, I'm putting it out there. Who else is hungry? We need to see it in Bristol. Who is hungry? Who wants it?
And
like,
Bristol may very well be that track. You know, last year it produced in the countdown winners that we didn't expect. So that bump that everyone loves to talk about, let's see what it may bump into and up to us concerning winners this year in this season. Then again, we might just see more domination. Well, Sam, we do got Beal in studio. He did step away from the camera. We'll have him back there in just a few moments. So let's begin wrapping up this discussion, and we'll have our first guest on here very soon. Sam.
What's up? Like I said, I need to see who's hungry, who's ready for a nice T-bone steak dinner. I'm not paying for it. Bobby's paying for it.
I thought winners got it was a chicken dinner.
Is it winner chicken dinner? Got it.
Right.
But I'm just saying, you know, even in the class that didn't even race this weekend, is it still going to be Steve and Matt, or can we see somebody else? Like, I want to see somebody else talk a little smack. You know, I mean, let's switch it up. So, I mean, wrapping it all up, Lee, I'm looking forward. We have a week off before we get down to Tennessee. So if you guys want to get down there and check out Bristol and what it has to offer, you get your tickets now, get your plane tickets, go down there. I'm hoping to be down there, but there's no easy way to get a win. But I think for the sport right now and the competitiveness, I think we need to see, you know, who's ready to take Matt off of his throne, who's ready to, you know, say, hey, Brittany and Mike, you guys need to stop. It's my turn. And Erica, you know, who is Erica going to let drive that blankety blank back?
Right. And speaking of winners, and this guy that we're about to bring on, he even has a bounty on his head at this point because
as he should.
Yeah, as he should. So definitely.
Okay, Lee, don't you think at this point NHRA should do that? Like, hey, this person has won 3 times. This person has won a couple of times. We're putting a bounty on it, even if it's $500. We can.
Look,
NHRA can afford
that. It is a cool program within Constant Aviation Factory Stock Showdown. We'll definitely talk to Bill about that in a moment, and maybe there is a true incentive to that. And, you know, it keeps compounding from what I understand as well. So if Bill keeps on winning, that can grow and grow. And, yeah, it'd be cool to see that in every category. Sure, I'd love to see that. That'd be cool. Someone step up out there. So, folks, after this word from Weldon Pumps, we're going to have Mr. Bill Skillman on. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the most wanted man in Factory Stock Showdown right now, Mr. Bill Skillman. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Hi, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Man, doing great. Well, let's start there. The bounty program that is put up, does that really incentivize for you racers to go out there and knock off that most wanted individual?
Well, I would have liked to have collected it, but unfortunately, it's on my head. So, the next person that can beat me is going to walk away with a couple grand. So, you know, it's definitely a motivational factor to beat that guy that won the last race. There's no doubt about that.
And so having that, knowing that people are gunning for you and maybe going to play some tricks on the starting line or get you out of your group. How does that, I guess, motivate you and make you plan out your race weekend?
You know, you'll race all kinds of individuals, and you know they're always going. There's guys that are going to play with you on the line. There are guys that are going to go in quick. There's guys that have their own routine. You know, you just have to be calm and adapt to what it is. You can't let that bother you. You know, it's you just have to do what you do and roll in when you want to roll in and be ready to go.
All right, Bill, for clarity's sake, let's talk about your hot rod. We got it up on the screen right there. Break down this beautiful Ford Mustang for us.
Okay, so this was the first factory race car to roll out of Watson for the factory Cobra Jet program for the 50th anniversary car. Even though it is serial number 2, that Tasca has number 1. This was the first car to roll out, and we took the car and massaged it, to say the least. And it's a bad hot rod. It's a really, really good car. We had a 14 car, the black car that I used to race, the 3-link car, and that car, I always said it would go, down the track in a hurricane. I mean, it would hook up and go. Really good race car, and we worked and worked and worked to really try to make this car work. The first year, that car worked great when the weather was good, but once the weather got hot and greasy, it didn't work so good. So we had to do a lot of work to make that really go down the track in all conditions. And I have to give all the credit to Tommy Laney and Dave Udini, who were, these guys came out of the pro stock ranks and the competition eliminator ranks, and they know how to make a car work. And they massaged and massaged and massaged on the car until it's a great race car. It crutches me as, number one, I'm old, and number 2, I'm slow. So I need all the help I can get with that good race car. So it helps me get to the winner circle.
And I am a diehard Ford guy, so being one of the Ford guys that are out there in a Chevy, pretty much a Chevy class, how does that feel to know that you're still whooping up on these good old Chevrolets?
You know what? The Chevrolets, if you look at them, they've been in every final this year. They've been almost all the top 4 cars in every race. So the Chevrolets are really good. The Dodges have huge power, huge smoke. They're just struggling getting the car to hook up and get down the track. So I think everybody knows from NHRA up that the most power, because it's got the most boost, is the Dodge. And the Chevrolets, they got a 50-pound weight break after last race, which is a lot. So we're gonna find out what that looks like at Bristol and see how it translates. Bristol's a little bit different track. You have to race. You're altitude track. You have a surface that is challenging, and so you've got to race. You've got to race the racetrack. So we'll see what happens next weekend. Not this weekend, the weekend after next. Excuse me.
With Sam bringing up Chevrolet and you going on further and mentioning the Mopar teams, where does the rift come about, or where was it, of the issues of parity? There was a little bit of time the Ford guys were like, nah, never mind, we're just not showing up, and the Mopar guys are like, nah, and the Chevrolet guys are like, well, there's enough of us, we can just win out of numbers. So, what is the issue within this class, and has the NHRA found it?
You know what? I guess depending on what car you're driving, you're always gonna look at it from, well, I could use more and they could use less. But Ford, the Dodges were just so dominant at first when this class came out. They put off the line and they just blow by everybody at the far end. And then the parity came in. Then Chevrolet got a much better package, much better blower. They were really good. And then we got some great rules. When we went from the 2.9 blower to the 3.0 blower. I mean, the difference between daylight and dark and the motor combination, and we were dominant, and we just got our legs chopped off every time we went out, and it just got to the point where we got tired of spending money. And we have, like I said, I've got a great, really, really good team, and we we work in a lot of areas which cost a lot of money, whether it's converters, gear sets, we camshafts, whatever we're doing, we're trying to make the peak power for what pulley we have to run with the supercharger. So every time we get a new combination, and then they cut us again, well, you have to throw everything out out, and you're spending a ton of money, and it got very, very frustrating. And Ford is not a sponsor of any of the NHRA races, and we always felt that Chevrolet and Dodge had a much better ear in the class, from NHRA, and deservedly they should have. I mean, that's where the money comes from Chevrolet and comes from Dodge, all these races. So I can understand why they had more ear than Ford did. Ford just chose not to spend their money in NHRA, and it's sad. They do with Tasca, and that's pretty much it.
And so when you speak of Ford, I was getting to that, but how do you think we get Ford? How do you think we grab Ford's attention and say, hey, look, your competitors are here. We understand that you're already doing something in NHRA, but why not something that looks or is just like a car that someone can drive down the street?
I think they want to run electric cars, so you tell me, you want to go watch electric drag racing?
No, I always, look, I finally got it, Lee, because Lee and I have.
So I'm not real excited personally, and that's where their passion is in, the electrified vehicles. And, we all know it's coming in some way. We don't really, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. It's forced down our throats by the government, and big tax incentives for probably the manufacturers. And they look at it as a way to, electric motors are very reliable. So they look up and say, hey, we're going to have more reliability and less warranty costs. So they see it as a win-win for them, and but I just don't I don't see without any noise how it's real exciting.
Definitely. I mean, I know Lee, we had this conversation with, I can't even think of his name. His name's not rolling off my head, but just the infrastructure that we would have to have for electric cars to be lined up around a drag strip would be ridiculous. But I equate it to this. It's like watching electric drag racing would be like taking a blind person to a basketball game. I would get annoyed if I was blind and went to a basketball game and just heard the squeak of the shoes up and down the court. I would get annoyed. That's what I convert electric drag racing to. So sorry there. But we also have a picture of 4-wide drag racing with you guys. And what is that like? Like I said, it's a display definitely, but to have these cars wheel standing off of the starting line and going down the track 4-wide, what is that experience like?
You know what? I was so impressed with all the factory guys, how well they did in this class, because I watched my son, Drew ran Pro Stock, and I watched these guys when they came to Charlotte the first time and ran the 4-wide. They were terrible. I mean, you'd have guys leave early. You'd have guys, that never left the starting line. It was crazy. But all 4 quads that I ran, everybody did a great job, and I was super impressed. And I said that earlier in another interview that I was really amazed how well these guys did. They did a really, really good job. I really like it. It takes more concentration. I was terrible on the tree. We had a transmission we'd run and run and run forever, and I think it was given up. And I'd get off the brake and the car just wouldn't move. And I got super lucky to win. I mean, that was a lucky win, but we had big smoke and ran good. And unfortunately other guys ran into trouble. They smoked the tires, or, they had issues. So we got really lucky there.
Well, you say lucky, but definitely Virginia, you go on to win that race, and you went up against some stiff competition. So you had a competition single in round one. Opponent wasn't able to make it. Round two, you go up against the champ, Aaron Stanfield, and those guys know how to make some power, and you get by him, you get the win, you go on to the finals, and you wrap it all up, and there you are, the winner of Virginia. You've won the 4 wide, you've won 2 wide, and you're a repeat winner. Bounty on your head. Give us the breakdown of what the Virginia Nationals was like.
You know what? I really enjoyed that racetrack. That facility, I think, has unbelievable potential. I've heard that that the state's gonna pour a bunch of money into there. I hope that's true. For the circle track and the drag race, and the drag track. It needs a lot of money spent on the stands and stuff. Racing surface, I thought was pretty darn good. I mean, I thought they did all they could do with what they had to work with. They did, and I thought the track was good. The guys worked their tails off, and it was good. It was fun, and I really enjoyed it. Of course, it's always more enjoyable when you win.
That's critical. Winning does help make the experience that much enjoyable.
It does. That's why I go out there. I don't. I go to win. I mean, I'm in business, and we're in the car business in the Indianapolis area, and we go out and compete every day, and I want to be in the front. That's where I want to be. And when I'm not there, I probably roll it up. But I really enjoy this class. I think it's really good racing when we're given a good track. These cars really put on a great show for the fans. When the track is really prepped well or the weather's good, you can't beat the racing. I mean, it is super tight. A bunch of good racers, a bunch of cars showing up. You have this class, and you've got Pro Stock are the only ones filling up the fields. Pro Stock has been, we all heard the death of Pro Stock, and it's just come back. And congratulations to Richard Freeman and Erica and Mark Ingersoll for doing a great job with that program. I don't think Greg's dead. I think they're struggling a little bit, and Kyle and the other guys, and they've got some talent over in that camp too. Don't count them out. But boy, it's looking. Richard and them are doing a great job this year. They're putting it on them, But you'll see Stanfield in the winner's circle. You're going to see some other guys. You're going to see some other people in that winner's circle. It's not, But Erica, you never know. Erica may sweep them all. It would not surprise me. She's, you put her in the car, run after run after run. There's not been very many people as good as she is off the tree, and she can drive a race car.
If there's a Pro Stock driver out there that could sweep it, I'd put my money on Red.
Yeah, she's pretty darn good. But there's a lot of really good racers out there too. Aaron Stanfield is, he's a great talent. Kyle and all those guys. Greg ain't, Greg's phenomenal. So. Yep.
Oh, 426
being out with those guys. It's we had a lot of fun when Drew was out there racing, and but he's home raising babies and working. So
426 Hemi had a question for you. It's a 2-part question here. He says, "Would like to hear your thoughts on the factory
the future of it, the impact of the FX class."
Yeah.
Well,
you
know what? I don't see our class going away. I think the FX class can really be a cool class. I think that it will be super fast. I think the problem with the transition is that if you look at NMCA and an HRA, there's a bunch of guys that are probably middle-aged, and I'm old. I'm almost 61 years old. So there are guys that are driving automatic transmission cars. And for them to transition into a stick that have never driven a stick, they've driven a stick all their lives probably, but ever driven a stick competitively on a racetrack is going to be a tough transition. Aaron Stanfield's going to go good. You put a Bo Butner, you put a Drew Skillman, you put all these, you put guys that have driven stick shifts, and there's a lot more people out there. They're gonna get it done. You put an old guy like me in the car, even though I drove a stick all my life, I may look like a bum out there. I don't know. So I wish they would have made the class where there was a weight break between an automatic and a stick car, and try to find the parity there. But they chose to go with the stick car, and it'll be great. It'll be a good series, and I think a lot of people will transition over to it. It all depends on, they understand what the motors are in these cars, but when you go to a chassis, when you go to a tube chassis car, the wheelbase has to be the same. So it has to be, the Ford wheelbase will be the Ford wheelbase, the Chevy wheelbase will be the Chevy wheelbase, and the Dodge wheelbase will be the Dodge wheelbase. So the Dodge will be longer, and the Ford will be the shortest, and the Chevy will be in between. So you're going to have different wheelbases. You're going to have, Haas and the different makers are going to build chassis, RJ and the different people that will build cars. We'll just have to see what works the best, right now, if you said, hey, what power plant you're going to put with the same blower on it, you're going to put Hemi in that car right now. I mean, because it's got the most boost. It's huge. I mean, it's, a lot of cubic inches, but that Ford sure runs good though. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an awesome class. I hope people take to it. I think the fans will love it because the cars are going to look just like factory cars, and that's what the sport needs. That's what I petitioned when we were just a green pea in when we came over to run, when Drew came over to run pro stock, and I talked to Richard and the other guys, and I said, guys, these cars are not what the fans want to see. They want to see cars that look like real cars. But nobody wants to just scrap the program they have and throw everything away to change over to something different. But I think really that's where the fans are going to look at it. And the reason that NHRA and the other classes want this tube chassis car, this size car, they want to make them electric too, because an electric car in a Mustang weighs 5,300 pounds. We're running our cars at 3,575. Think about how much difference in weight is there. So they've got to get the cars lighter to be able to run an electric car. So because, it's just too hard to stop that car. These FX cars are going to run in the 200 mile an hour range. They're going to be 200 plus. They're going to be fast race cars on a small tire. It's going to be a handful.
Well, Bill, it's known, I hope, to just about everyone watching that your family is in the car business. Ray Skillman Auto Group, located around the Indianapolis area. And I want you to take a moment and sell drag racing, if you will, to all the other auto groups out there and get them in drag racing in their local venue, national event. Why should a auto group, auto sellers be in drag racing?
Well, if you just go out to your local track on a Wednesday night or whatever night that they run the street cars on the track, and go out there and see who's running up and down the track, look at what they're running, look at the contingency from Dodge and Chevy and Ford. It's amazing. And these are people from all nationalities. It's amazing when I go out to Raceway Park. We have on the south side of town where I live, we have people that are Sikh Indians. We have other nationalities down here, and it's amazing. I see all these Indians guys out there. They love love hot rod cars, which I think is awesome. I mean, I'm really happy that we're seeing diversity come to the racetrack. And then, we just have so many different people, and it doesn't matter what they're racing. They have passion for what they're doing. And, the manufacturers, if they would get out and see these people and talk to these people, they understand these are their customers. These are the people that buy cars from them, and they're loyal to the brands that they like, and that's awesome. I mean, it really is. And it. A guy's a Dodge guy, a guy's a Ford guy, or a guy's a Chevy guy, and it's hard to break them away one way or the other. They like what they like.
Yeah, that's very true. So you mentioned that, like, having those loyal customers and having those people that support you. Have you found many customers that are like, hey, you do that? How can I do that? Or have questions when they find out that you actually, are involved in that?
Sure. We definitely have people that come in and want to talk about how can I take my son or grandson to the racetrack, and how do I get a junior started, and can he take a car to the track when he's underaged or whatever? So there are a lot of questions, and they're really good questions. And sometimes we don't always have the right answer, and we try to refer them to somebody at Raceway Park or one of the other facilities where they can go run, and motorsports, you either love racing or you don't have anything for it. I think you're either drawn to the excitement of motorsports or you're not. I mean, I just don't think there aren't a lot of wishy-washy people on motorsports. I don't think either they love it or they don't like it. So people want to be. They want to be when they like it. They want to be immersed in the sport, and they want to know. They have lots of questions, and they want to know if they can bring their kids down and sit in the car, look at the car, and talk about the motor, and what would it take me to get into a car like this, or where should I start? And those are really fun conversations to have with people.
Speaking of immersion, I've got to ask, with COVID and everything and restrictions, has the museum opened back up at the auto shop? I mean, it is spectacular, the collection that has been collected.
It's getting better too. My dad has some phenomenal Indy cars, especially a lot of roadsters and cars from sprint cars and midgets, and then we have muscle cars and stuff. So the museum is semi-open. All you got to do is give us a buzz, and we'll let you. We just had some issues with people coming in, things disappearing. You'd look up and people would have hoods open. They'd be in cars, and we tried from year after year after year just to, we never charged. There was no charge. There was really no supervision. Just go look, take all the pictures you want to do, enjoy yourself, spend 5 hours there, spend 30 minutes there, whatever you want to do. But we just ran into a lot of disrespectful people, and you know how it always is. It's those few people that always ruin it for the other people. But it's call me. It's we can always get you in and get a look. So. Yeah.
Man, see, Sam, this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice things.
And it's sad. It is. It's really, really sad that that because it was great entertainment for a lot of people, and we would have. I always loved because the old folks' homes, they would come, they'd bring their bus, they'd unload, and the people would come in. Of course, they're always awesome. They would always be, going through all the cars. But I mean, think about that. You've got. It's great for people like that and young kids, and it's great. It's just a few people that kind of always screw everything up for everybody.
Yeah, right. But yes, folks, if you have not seen that collection that Bill's dad has there at, I believe it's the Greenwood. Is it Greenwood one?
It's behind the Ford store in Greenwood, correct?
Yeah, it is spectacular. They have, I mean, I imagine you still have it, a Junior Johnson attempted IndyCar and a Kenny Irwin Jr. Craftsman Truck Series NASCAR. You know, it's there. Yes, it's awesome. Go folks. Call before you go.
Yeah, we've got the Mario 65-66 championship car that Mario won the IndyCar, the USAC championship in. David Pearson stock car. We've got some really cool stuff. There's a lot of really cool 50s, early 60s roadsters. You know, a lot of cool IndyCar stuff. But you know, nice cars.
Awesome.
See, Lee, I mean, everyone's saying it. The people that have been there saying it's a great collection. They've, you know, enjoyed it. But Lee, I always go back to, once people start putting LSs in box bodies is when the world it's when the world kind of shifted, and that's why we can't have nice things.
Ford with a Chevy motor, and I just want to scratch my head every time I go in. And we have a Chevrolet store, so I'm not anti Chevrolet, but it's a Ford. Put a Ford motor in it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Be like me putting a Hemi in the Ford. You know, it's just like, it's not right.
Yes, that's right. Well, Mr. Skillman, look, thank you. We hope that you're able to continue the winning ways and nobody is able to collect that bounty anytime
Wouldn't that
soon.
be nice? Unfortunately, I don't think that's realistic, but I would sure like it if there was a big bounty for next year. That would be awesome, carried over to next year. Nobody else is going to like it, but especially in HRA, they're not. No, it's we're really excited about the rest of the year. Our goal at the first of the year was to come back to NHRA and win a championship. So we're working that direction. We are in the lead in the championship. So my guys, I have to give all the credit in the world to, you know, Tommy and Joey and Dave, you know, for what they've done and provided the race car they provided for me. It makes my job look easy, and it's they do a great job. I'm really blessed to have such good people, and all the people at the Race Skillman Auto Group for being able to allow me to race, and Valvoline and Exalta, Z-Bart of Indianapolis, and all the people, AAIG, all the people that help sponsor our race car, allow us to, you know, be able to do this week after week. And I really thank them a lot.
Well, Mr. Skillman, we thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be certain to follow along on each and every victory up and coming.
I appreciate it. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was good talking a little bit of Constant Aviation Factory Stock Showdown, Sam, and definitely enjoy that class. It is one of the best classes out there right now, I think, in NHRA drag racing, and they've got such interesting characters that are, well, as you can see, definitely connected to the car scene in the world right now. But we're about to transition, and we're about to get on Mr. Dickie Venables and chat with him. But for those of you that are watching, I'm looking at YouTube, and we've got like 50 people watching and only 24 likes. You know what you need to do? Tell them, Sam.
They need to smash that like, click that bell, share this, tell all their friends, because the coolest cat in drag racing are yakking it up, and we're about to yak it up with someone who's got a lot of experience, someone that actually brought Gary out of retirement here this weekend to wheel a funny car down the track, and I see him giggling back there in the green room. But yes, he actually brought someone out of retirement here for this past weekend to wheel a funny car, and man, did they do a great job. Put it in the winner's circle. But I mean, if you haven't done it already, do it, because we're about to take this to a whole nother level. Like, share, tell your friends, tell your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, your sister, your brother, and the dog that they need to tune in, because Dickie is coming on next, and we're going to talk about some nitro funny car. We're going to talk about this mustache that appeared on the NHRA that's been blowing up the world right now in the web, history, and everything in between.
This word from Holly, and then Mr. Venables.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
What a performance this year. Man, this has just been you and your team and Matt Hagan driving. It's like y'all haven't missed a beat, man.
It's definitely been a good year, and we couldn't be happier. And I'd like to say thanks for having me on. Enjoy you guys' show.
Well, good to have you on, Dickie. We love having the crew chiefs on. We feel like y'all don't get enough airtime, and we're definitely glad to provide that airtime because y'all are a whole nother cast of characters out there in the pits. And it's good to have you on. Good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we might as well, we're just going to get the elephant out of the room right away. We've all heard about it. We've all seen it. But how did you take this mustache that Matt showed up to the track at, and what's kind of the story behind it?
Well, actually, he showed up at that race in 2019. With the same kind of stash, and we won. So I know that that's what he was looking at. We're all somewhat superstitious in what we believe makes it happen. Whether it helps or not, it's just what makes you feel good, right? So that was kind of his motivation behind it. And for me and the rest of my guys, we just know that's Matt. You never know what he's going to do, right? So him showing up with that, it's just like, that's just something else, But whatever the magic is up there in New England, it's 4 wins up there. That's pretty wild.
It certainly is wild. Y'all have had a stellar record there, and y'all keep piling on the amount of wins, and it is astounding to see. Sure, I know that kind of was a wholesale move from DSR to TSR, but anytime there's a move, there's some type of transition that happens. Talk to us about the transition and then coping with it so well. I mean, it looks like y'all just it's been seamless.
Yeah, and a big part of that is, I was able to keep all of my guys, along with Matt. So all the people that we had over at Don Schumacher's, along with all of the equipment we had, has transferred over to TSR. So it was a pretty seamless transition for us. That being said, there's still a transition, right? You've got a new owner, you've got some new sponsors. We still have Dodge, but some of them are new, and there is a transition period. And, we were just fortunate from the first test day in Phoenix, before the season started, we just kind of picked on a few little things as far as a tune-up to make it a little better than what we had last year. And, those couple little tweaks have really helped in the performance of the car.
So, Sam, I do want to step in real quickly with Dickie mentioning Phoenix testing. I believe you're the first representative from TSR we've had on ever since then and on the show, period. So I've got to ask, who came up with the idea to run the funny car and the dragster together? That was pretty cool to see in testing.
I think it was some of the social media PR people. They asked what we thought about it, and we thought it would be a great idea. The downside to that is if something was to happen, you take your whole team out of commission, as far as which I didn't even think about. I just thought, man, that'd be cool. Let's do it. We did it, and it turned out great. But no, that was part of some of the PR people and social media came up with that, and Tony agreed to it. and it was fun.
Yeah, it was cool to see. It was cool to see.
And when you're talking about that, you're talking about a new team owner. You're getting to keep everything that you know, bring your whole team over and with your driver. I know one of my friends used to be on your team, and he used to talk about, you know, how everything ran so smoothly with you guys. And now with having Tony at the helm, how, you know, what comfort was that knowing that, you know, Tony comes from a motorsports background. He cares about everything that he's invested in. How did that feel for you guys?
You know, it's been, you know, they always say a lot of times change is good. And I really believe that's one of these situations. You know, we had a lot of success with Don Schumacher. You know, we won a lot of races and we won a couple championships. And it just ended up being to where we're at now. But it's just been, you know, Tony's the type of guy to where he's got a lot of things going. You know, he's got a racetrack in Eldora. He's got another racetrack somewhere else. He's just got a million things going, but he's one of those guys that he puts the people in place to do the jobs that he needs to have done. And that's the way he approaches everything. And, you know, it's been a breath of fresh air for all of us, you know, just something new, you know, and I think it gives us a little bit more drive to go out and be successful. And, you know, right now we couldn't be happier, obviously, to be able to deliver to a new boss, you know, some success early on in, you know, being a team owner.
Well, I'll ask what everybody's thinking. I'll be that guy. Your team with the funny car running stellar. Leah and the Top Fuel team not running quite as well. So how does it work under that TSR umbrella in the sense of communication? Do you help out at all? Is there communication back and forth? And yes, they're two different cars, and you know, you've got the benefit that, like you said, it was a complete bring over, and you've got the same guys, and that's another new team in the umbrella of TSR. And a lot of people don't understand that. So from you on the other side of the flopper guys looking at the lone guys, what's your thoughts?
Well, you know, first and foremost, it's all one team. You know, our cars we have a common pit area in the shop there, and we communicate every single day that we're there. You know, like we were talking earlier, our team was pretty much a turnkey deal. Now, 180 degrees from that would be that team over there. They started out with all new equipment. Now, keep in mind, when you have to start with all new equipment in November and be ready to start testing at the end of January, it's very difficult to even obtain all the parts you need in a timely manner. You know, so the fact that team got up and going and was able to be at the first test on time with everything done and organized, and you know, that's a monumental task in itself. As far as, you know, us communicating, yes, I mean, Neil Strasbaugh, he's got a lot of years of experience. He's got experience on funny cars and dragsters. I've got experience on dragsters going back a few years, so we talk all the time. He has suggestions, you know, for me, you know, and I'll throw the same thing back at him. It's just an open communication, and you know, their car's running well. It takes time when you start a new team, and you know, they're going to be in the hunt here very soon.
That's why I wanted this guy eventually on the show, because that was the perspective I've been waiting for someone that's got the years and experience to say. So thank you, Dickie. Thank you.
When we get involved with the tuning of a car, you know, you look at the average driver across drag racing. Matt trumples all of them. Matt's a bigger guy. And with you knowing that, and you know, your history working with Tony and different people that you've worked with, does that play a big dynamic and a big difference in how you tune it, or you know, weight and everything like that?
It definitely does. Having somebody like Matt behind the wheel, who's a good lever. Tony Pendergrass was excellent. When you have that card in your corner, it changes the way a crew chief approaches some races. For instance, let's say you go up there and you're running a car that, run about the same as you did the round before, so you're pretty evenly matched. So there's two ways to approach it. You can go up there and be a little more aggressive with power or clutch and try and run a little quicker, or you can do what I say, just let the driver drive. I feel like we have 100th or two on a lot of people we race, not Robert Height and probably not J.R. Todd and Cruz and some of those other guys, but I fully believe that, there's a lot of times where I'll just not press as hard and let Matt do his job up there.
Well, continuing on the tuning theme, Kroger Sucks 45 asks, what's the difference in tuning a dragster compared to the funny car? So can you give us some layman's insight into that?
Yes. Obviously the biggest difference between the two cars is a wheelbase. You're dealing with 300 inches and you're dealing with 125 inches. So that makes a huge difference in the amount of traction each car has. The dragster, obviously being longer, has more traction just because of the design of the car. As far as tuning them, all the same things apply. It's the same engine, it's the same clutch, it's all the same adjustments. It's just a dragster, you have to be more aggressive with it to get the results. And a funny car, you got to kind of more tiptoe with it because they're pretty finicky, honestly. But the same things apply to either one. You apply too much clutch, they're going to smoke the tires. You don't have enough clutch, you're going to get outrun. So they're very similar in that respect. They're just a lot different in the way you race them.
So kind of want to dive back, I guess, go back to 2005. You had a fairly nasty accident at the starting line. We haven't really seen too much other than what happened earlier this year with starting line accidents. Do you think the improvement in everything with funny cars and safety and that, throttle sticking, do you think we've made leaps and bounds since then?
We definitely have. The incident I had was a situation to where the throttle was it didn't have enough clearance to the body, and when the crewman went to raise it, the car lunged forward, much like what happened to Robert Height's team in Pomona this year. But NHRA, they're always on top of it. They've made us, we have more clearance now. We have a minimum clearance, which is increased from the old dimension to where there's more clearance to the throttle arm itself. And, that's just like any other safety item that we've had on these cars for years. It's improved dramatically, over the last 20 years, and it gets better. They'll find little things every year to make them more safe for everybody.
Yes, Dickie, I was looking over an article. I couldn't read the entire article, but it was speaking of you, and it's you've been around for some interesting moments apparently in drag racing. Like this article made mention that apparently you were there in Ontario when Shirley had her accident, and then it's like you're with Ormsby with the Big Amato final, and then Austin and Indy with the blower pop, and then just on down the line, you've been in around long enough, but yet been in the thick of some of the most exciting moments. So with having you on the show, like what's your top five, man? What's the top five moments?
Oh, that'd be hard to name. It's, you get to be able to have those moments when you've done this stuff for 40 years, right? So, winning the first championship with Tony Pendergrass in 2007, that probably ranks number one. that would have been my first championship as a crew chief. And any of the other, two championships, those are right up there. Winning Indy, winning the U.S. Nationals, that's definitely up there. It's just honestly, any win nowadays, they're all sweet, but those are probably the top four for sure.
So looking forward to the season then, and like Matt said, the other day in his interview, he knows he has a great competitor within the class, especially with Robert Height, the battle that they have going on right now. When you're looking at that, and you guys are looking at it, it's like, okay, round by round, looking at that ladder, and someone stated it looks like a old school WWE ladder, cage fight, and you guys are on one side, Matt's on the other side. It's going to be who's going to grab that suitcase first. What is it like? You're going, you get later in the day, and you're like, oh, Robert's still in. Okay, another round. Oh, Robert's still in. Here we go. Like, does that play? Does that play on your mind? And okay, what do we have left? What spare block are we doing? What are we doing here? Does that start to eat away at you, or is it just like, what, we're going to take this round by round, and whatever way it happens, it happens?
Well, with that team over there, it's just kind of, but you're right. You look at, I think we've been in 6 final rounds out of 8 and won 3. Any other season, you'd be 150, 200 points ahead, but we're barely 2 rounds ahead of the number 2 car, Robert. So like you say, we're going rounds, but you get to the final and damn, you look over, there's Robert, So it's fun. I will say that, we've raced, when I say we, crew chiefs kind of race each other, drivers race, so, but I can say Jimmy and I, we've raced hard over the years. There was times back in the mid 2000s that one of us, even the same weekend, we've probably each set the record at the same event. We've just always raced hard. I think we're probably 2 of the most aggressive crew chiefs out there as far as, kind of swinging for the fence. But in all honesty, going all these rounds, it's like you look over and man, Robert's going to be there again, but ton of respect for those guys. Robert, great driver, and Jimmy, Chris Cunningham, they're all good people and obviously very tough competitors.
So, Dickie, where do you stand mentally in this ultimate chase for a championship? We are in the regular season right now. We come to the countdown. Y'all are hot right now. Do you keep pushing and trying to win every round you can, every race you can? Do you throttle back, try some different things, be prepared for the countdown? Where do you think a team should put itself with the racing that we have for a championship today?
Well, all I can tell you is what, I know that we're going to do. The countdown throws a different perspective on everything. You can win all these races and all these rounds and rack up all these points. But we all know that after Indy, it's going to be shuffled around. But we're coming up on, we've got, 6, 7 races or so before the countdown. It's like you better have a combination within the next race or 2 that you're going to run the countdown with. You don't want to be going into the countdown searching for something, because when you get to that point, you're racing hard. You're racing, the races happen quickly and there's not a lot of time to figure anything out. So, our combination, we haven't changed it since the beginning of the year. And I feel like it's competitive enough, even if the competition, starts getting tougher. I feel like we can press it further. So we're just going to keep, you take it one round at a time. That's the only way you can approach this, because it doesn't matter what you do in qualifying. It doesn't matter if you're at the top of the sheet or you're at the bottom. It's where you end up on Sunday. And, it's just one round at a time. And that's our focus. It's just every run we make between now and the countdown, it's just more data and more things that we can learn as far as running a race car.
Sam, he said competitive enough, and that they can push it. If
Lee, he can't tell you all the secrets. I mean, there's people out there watching right now. So this is what's going on, Lee. They have the green, like on Waterboy, where they have that green notebook of all the plays, and it's like, okay, here's this weather temperature, here's what the track was here, here's what we could have done. That playbook is still in the back pocket, and I can guarantee you there's some of those times when they're at the starting line and they look up and they go, you know what, we're gonna change this down here, we're gonna do this, and let's go. And
that's right.
And we've seen it over and over. You guys go out and you guys set records at each track, and then someone else sets it, and you're like, oh, guess what? Just give us a little time. We're gonna do it here again. So I'm excited to see it. Yes, I've said it, and I can admit it. I've said that, to me right now, Pro Stock has been, the class that's been putting on the best show. But I can honestly say, with the records and everything that we've got in Funny Car, I mean, all around. I mean, if you're not liking drag racing right now, you're just not a drag racing fan. So I'm excited to see more records being set. I'm excited to see these notebooks. We're getting to this hot weather season. The notebooks are coming out, Lee.
Definitely.
Well, it's just great to see, after 2020, that we'd all like to forget. It's really good to see fans coming out again, good crowds at all these races. That's just been a welcome thing for all of us out there doing it, and we're really looking forward, to the rest of the season and many more to come.
So, Dickie, as we begin to wind down our time with you this evening, you being a representative of the crew chiefs, we've had 2 or 3 others on since Gainesville, and I want to ask each and every one I have on to the end of the year, how insane was Gainesville?
As far as the conditions?
Yes. Put it into scope for us.
I have never seen anything like it. As far as it was twofold. We got to the racetrack that had a lot of rain there. And on Friday, there was no rubber on the racetrack, like zero. And then we had this weather that came in. When I got to the track on Sunday morning, it was 39 degrees and like 10 water grains, and it's below sea level, and it was just, you have to back these cars up when the weather gets that good. We talk about good air and bad air. That was just stupid air. I mean, we have head gaskets that we lower the compression with. Well, we had the thickest ones on, and we had the slow, we were running the supercharger slower than we ever have. And it was crazy conditions. Fortunately, NHRA did a heck of a job getting some rubber back on the track, and it ended up being a great race. But it was damn sure a challenge trying to get the engine where it needed to be power wise, and the clutch application, what it needed to be for the racetrack conditions. It was absolutely insane.
That says it, Lee. We saw the pictures. I unfortunately wasn't there, but we saw the pictures of how crazy it was, and everyone was talking about the air conditions and what NHRA did. But I've got to ask, Dickie, when you mentioned fans, when you go to these tracks and you see all these different things, is there a track that has a couple of fans, or is there a fan that like really stands out to you, and like, when I go to this track, I can't wait to see this person or have this group come around?
Oh, sure. More than one place, I mean, I could name several. That like when you go to Gainesville, you're going to see this guy. When you go to Pomona, you're going to see this group of guys. And honestly, the people, I know a few people that have done this for a lot of years, and they've stepped away from it. And just about every one of them will tell you that, yeah, they miss the racing. They miss that part of it, but it's the people they miss the most. And that's what's so good about what we do. It's just, it's just a great group of people within HRA and all the racers and the fans. They're the most important, and absolutely there are the diehard super fans, we call them, that you're going to see them at every race, and you'll look back there and you'll see them at the back of the ropes, for sure.
Yes, definitely the people make it all worth it and make it different. It's not just about cars going 330 miles per hour and the noise, the sights, the sounds, the smells. You take the people away from it, and it's all honestly very void, such as yourself. That car never does anything unless you have put that tune in it, and it is as much as an extension of the mechanical contraption that it is as it is the human behind it, being yourself, or Matt driving it, or an owner like Tony owning it. And it's the people that make it all worthwhile. And speaking of people, your dad was heavily involved in this sport. And I just want to ask, and it's my last question, how satisfying was it to win Houston?
And I can't believe I forgot to mention that one as one of the favorites. That would be at the top for sure. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today without my father. He used to race top fuel cars. He used to drive back in the 60s. Him and his partners had both top fuel and funny cars in the 70s all the way up to 1980. And that was definitely the most satisfying win ever. That was something that you just wanted to happen. And when it finally did, it was surreal. It was very, very special for sure.
Glad you got it, man. Glad you got it.
Thank you. Something else I got to say too, talk about people, the crew chiefs got their role, excuse me, but there's 8-9 more guys on our team that, they work their hearts out every week. I've got Michael Knudsen, who co-crew chief. Him and I have been racing together all the Schumacher years. Alex Conway, car chief. We've been together a long time, and a lot of our core group of crew members have been together 6, 8, 10 years, and that's hard to replace. It's hard to find people that want to do this on a day-to-day basis and travel up and down the road. And, those people, without them, we couldn't do any of this.
And so wrapping it all up, you said you've been doing this for a long time. Lee asked you about, the 5 greatest memories, but let's go back even further. And what would you say was that one moment where you knew, you know what, this is drag racing is for me?
Well, that's a pretty easy one. Ron Tolber, he got his start in racing. I don't know if you know the story, but he got his start. He lived down the street from my dad's shop, who had an auto repair shop, and that's where they kept the race car. He worked at the corner grocery store, sacking groceries, and he was a camera buff. He liked to take pictures. So long story short, he finally bugged my dad and them enough they invited me to go to the races. And fast forward, he got his first job with Marvin Graham, then ended up going to work for Shirley Muldowney in probably about 1970. And they would come to my dad's shop when they were on tour for a place to work. And I would always hang out, and I had always worked on my dad's top fuel and funny cars. I was building short blocks when I was 12 years old, so fast forward in between my junior and senior year in high school, I got a chance. Tobler asked me if I wanted to go racing for the summer with Shirley. And well, heck yeah, So I did. Problem was I had strict instructions from my mom and dad that you will come back and finish high school. So I spent the summer racing with them between my junior and senior year, came back, finished high school. Tobler called me right after I graduated high school, said, "Do you want to do this full time?" And I was 18 years old. And I said, yes. And I haven't done anything except this ever since that day.
That has to be one of the most epic summer vacations ever right there.
Well, I thought it was, and I had no idea it would turn into what it has, but I was just happy to do it. And they said, oh, you're going to pay me a couple $100 a week too? Awesome.
Stellar. Well, Dickie, look, we hope, myself and Sam, that you all continue to have a stellar year. It already has been a good year, and we look forward to having you on the show once again, and it being under such similar circumstances of success.
Well, I hope you're right. It's just, it's going to be a long season, with the countdown and everything. It's going to be a battle to the end. So it's going to be fun. Once again, thank you guys for having me. Enjoy your show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you, Dickie.
Good night, guys.
All right, man, that was a good conversation. Love talking to the crew chiefs.
Man, it's always awesome because we get a different perspective, right? We can talk to the drivers all the time. We can talk to whoever else, but even maybe talking to a bottom end guy, he sees the world in a totally different perspective. He's looking, he's down on his back looking. So it's always
amber colored,
Yes, I mean everything is totally different, and it's always nice to get these crew chiefs on here because they get the starting line questions. What did you see out there? Is there more? Were you guys swinging for the fences? Hey, you guys blew the tires. You maybe lost this round. They get those questions back to back. But just to open up and talk about who they are as a person, what they love to do, and how they got into it, it's always exciting. And just for them to break some of the things down, like the questions you asked, to break them down. And so we, as normal people and normal fans of the sport, can understand it and relate to it. And that's what it's all about, Lee. So,
it sounds like Dickie Venables needs to be on a Competition Plus, the Legends, the series episode. Maybe there is one out there I don't know of, and I've overlooked it. But by the way, folks, if you have not seen any of that series on Competition Plus TV, that's the YouTube channel, you need to check it out. Bob Glidden, Shirley Muldowney, John Force, many other great names in this sport. The Legend, the series, it's got several seasons. Bobby Bennett has done a great job on compiling those a football life type stories, but drag racing right here on the Competition Plus YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, it's free and you need to do it for sure. Sam, how about we take a break? We come back and we wrap up the show. Just a little bit more drag racing to talk.
I suppose, what else am I going to do? Yes, Lee, I think that is a great idea. Let's wrap it up. Grab a swig of water, and you guys don't leave. We're going to wrap it up. You guys got any questions? Drop those questions in the comment section right now. It's a great time for us to interact with you guys. That's what the last bit of this show is going to be about. We're going to yak it up, and we want to hear your questions. Roll that.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Well, Slammin' Sam, I spent my time in Iowa. I do want to answer a question that was way up early. Individual that lives in Wisconsin. I made my way through the great state of Wisconsin. Yes, I did have some Wisconsin cheese. I didn't really bother with the cheese curds, but I did go to a place called Mickey's Dairy Bar right across the street from Camp Randall there in Madison. That place had a spectacular breakfast.
Lee, what do you mean there's no but? I've eaten there. Right across the Camp Randall. Sweet. You got to see the construction then. That's happening right now at Camp Randall. I cannot wait. The countdown is on. I have a schedule. It's probably underneath one of these papers. The countdown is on to your boy being at Camp Randall to watch my little brother play some foosball.
Good.
I can't wait, man. No
Awesome.
cheese for me, but I cannot wait.
Awesome. But I was on my way to Eddyville, Iowa, Eddyville Raceway Park. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's drag strips that everybody should visit. ZMAX, Pomona, Cordova, Raceway Park there at Indianapolis. Eddyville Raceway Park in Iowa should be on that list. It truly is the gem of Midwest drag strips, 8th Mile at least. It is such a beautiful facility. Gerald Kramer and his team do such a good job there. I was there for Nitro Chaos, dude. A lot of nitro was burned, and it was some great spectacular action between anything that was burning 80% plus nitro. And on top at the end, the A field was a fuel altered, beat out funny cars and front engine dragsters. And then in the B field, a front engine dragster took the win home. So Nitro Chaos, next one is going to be at Mocan. You've got to see it, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen Nitro Chaos.
Oh, for sure, Lee. And that's one thing I can say about Iowa across the board. The racing community, the racing culture down in Iowa from Circle Track and everything else is phenomenal. I mean,
Yes.
like you said, if you get the chance to get down to Iowa, I think it's kind of the hidden, like you said, it's the hidden gem. There's a lot of great promoters and a lot of great racetracks and people that put their heart and soul into things in Iowa. So like you said, go down there and see that. Looking forward,
Iowa should not be a part of flyover country. There is so much to do there and experience from racing and beyond. Like, I love the movie The Field of Dreams. I went to the Field of Dreams baseball baseball field site this time, and it was cool. Just people out there playing baseball, strangers, throwing pitches for each other, playing catch. Man, that was cool to see. And, almost every little Iowa town has like this picturesque square, like an actual town square. And Oskaloosa, which is like the big town, for Eddyville, beautiful square and people out there and enjoying the evening and bands playing. Yeah, Iowa's worth going to. Yes, corn or not, it's worth going to.
Hey, man, if you're not doing that in Iowa, if you're not racing or if you're not traveling through and seeing the hidden gems, you might as well go down there and shoot a big whitetail buck. That's on my list to do that. I know this show isn't about that, but I am going to pull back that bow and smoke me a biggin down there at some part in my life, and that will happen. Go ahead and answer that funny car question.
Sure. Mike Kristen asks for Funny Car Chaos upcoming event in Cordova, which is an exhibition event, and it's not this weekend, but the weekend after this one that is coming up. Will they run the jet funny cars in the same bracket as the alcohol and nitro funny cars? And the answer to that is yes. I've never seen that. I don't know how it's going to go over, but if you want to see wild, if you want to see chaos, you need to get to Cordova, Illinois and experience this. Yes, jet cars will be running against nitro cars and alcohol funny cars. Funny car chaos.
Chaos. Yes, for sure. But yeah, Lee, I mean, just so much going on. You got some grudge racing going on here this weekend. So, I mean, a lot of racing. We obviously will talk again before.
Is racing this weekend.
Yes, they
Out
are.
there in Maryland.
So get out, have fun, support your local drag strips, your grudge racing, whatever it may be, whatever you're into. Get out, go and see some type of racing and enjoy the smell of our good fossil fuels that make this place great. 'Cause
Definitely.
like Mr. Skillman said that, I mean, soon enough, we're going to be overrun by electric squeaking horsepower, and it sucks to see. I know we can all complain about how much gas costs and what it takes to get there, but support those men and women that actually pay a little bit more. They pay that $600, $700 for a thing of, race fuel and put thousands of dollars into their projects. Go out and support them because they're putting on a show for you, the spectators, and that's what it's all about. Lee, I am Slammin' Sam, Outlaw Performance ENT, dropping videos very soon. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and a little bit of Twitter. We're getting involved in the Twitter world too, so check us all out. Other than that, man, again, to everyone that is in the racing community, please be safe, please be smart, please think of your loved ones and what may happen or could happen. Just let someone know if you're working out in the garage or if you're doing everything else. Please be safe. You have a lot of people that care about you and love you. I am Slammin' Sam, one part of this great show. Thanks to Bobby Bennett. Thank you to you, Lee, for yakking it up with me every Tuesday, to Elon Warner, who helps us with the guests, to Darren with those short clips that we play at the beginning. Thank you guys for always putting on a great show and letting me give my opinion of what drag racing and this beautiful sport that we love is.
Folks, this has been the Competition Plus Power Hour. Monday Morning Racer, Slammin' Sam. We're checking out.